Thanks everyone for taking the time to come here this morning, man. Really appreciate you guys all being here for this. Okay, I'm gonna try and use this clicker. Let's see. Wow. Okay, perfect. So, just to set the tone of this session, right? Oh yeah, sure. So, oh sorry guys, sorry. So to set the tone, that's a photo of me. I'm in the shark suit. Yeah, this was taken like 2 weeks ago, and I think that's like my mom's hand. So that's the kind of person I am. This could kind of be like a not very serious kind of talk. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. I have a ton of slides, so I'm gonna try and breeze through this. And please forgive me if I get stuck on a tangent. Y'all can just yell out like, "Move on." Okay, cool. So okay, I got to tell all this. I didn't really do good in school at all. So once I finished secondary school or like high school, I went straight to the army and then I went to work. I got a job. My uncle got me a job at the shipyard, and basically it's just like manual labor, just like making stuff, breaking stuff, painting stuff. They were nice people, but I really sucked at that job. Because of that, I didn't really understand a lot of things. I didn't study geography, biology, all this stuff, but I was kind of interested in it because I would see it discussed on TV. I was just like, man, I really want to learn about all this and blah, blah, blah. So I can't go into that, it'll take forever. But when I did end up in the photography industry and I started to squirrel away like $1,000, it was like a big deal for me. Like I got $1,000 to blow. So I was like, what do I want to do? So I was like, I want to take my camera and like send myself on these like fake Nat Geo assignments, because I thought, how the hell, this is not going to happen for me, right? Because I was just like, that would, I mean, I'm like thinking like, okay, that's never going to happen. So I'll just send myself, like who gives a shit? So anyway, so I sent myself to the Everest region, but my family never traveled much, so I never seen snow or been up a mountain. So I went in my jeans. Yeah, and then I know, and I went in like a Giordano hoodie, like local Singaporean people would know, like, yeah. And then I remember, thank God, my cousin is half Japanese dude. He's like semi-smart, he's like a geologist, but he's also related to me, so that also makes him kind of a moron. So both of us were on the tarmac, and like I don't know how many, if any, has anyone ever been to like the Everest region? Yeah, there. See, so when you're waiting for that small plane to fly you to, it's like that super dangerous airport. The people who were on this like 10-seater, 20-seater plane looked like they were kitted out, and they were looking at me and my cousin like, what are you two guys gonna do? It was insane. So anyway, so I went there because so I sent myself there because I wanted to, the shark again, Jesus Christ. So I wanted to send myself there because I grew up in Singapore. I don't know much, but I know that this is one of the most advanced, like kind of like human civilizations in terms of just like the infrastructure and everything. I know it's first world, that's what I mean. So I was just like, I want to learn how like the rural communities of humans interact with the environment. Because I would hear things about, I'm born in the 80s, so I hear like, oh, the ozone layer, and then later on, like all these other things. I was just so terrified. I'm like, I want to go and find out for myself. And then I was already taking photos. I'm like, I'll just go and like retrace, make my own like kind of like steps and figure out my way. And I randomly chose the Sherpa community. So yeah, so I ended up just going there because I wanted to see how humans still dependent on like, there's no roads there, right? So they still use animals for like carrying goods and food and so many other things up like these like mountain passageways. And I just that's really what I wanted to see. It didn't work out so well because I got severe altitude sickness and they had to helicopter me off the mountain within like 3-4 days. So then then I came back, I was working again. I randomly selected another place, which was Central Mongolia. And then I sent myself there, same thing. I'm just like, Nat Geo is never going to happen. I'm just going to send myself there. So I went, and then my bright idea this time was, I just went to the capital, Ulaanbaatar, and I was like, I want to hire a driver to drive me to the Altai Mountains. And they were like, there's no roads at the time. So they're like, you're probably going to get robbed and die. And because of your complexion, they're going to know that you're not from this country and you don't speak Mongolian or Kazakh, because the people down there are not even Mongolian, they are Kazakh. So anyway, I just went on, and they were like, oh, maybe he's not going to come back. So, it's a long story, I'm trying to, so anyway, God, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I went there, and I stayed with this like, girl, amazing, this is like taken in 2016, sorry. So like, just to go backwards a little bit, if I didn't say, the Nepal stuff was in 2014. So this is 2016, I sent myself to Mongolia. This is like sort of like unedited photos, and also just to check, are you all like here for like technical photography kind of stuff? Anyone? No one gives a shit? Cool. So this is like kind of like just a natural light. It's not much editing. So I went there looking for the eagle hunter people. I went there in the summer, and the eagle hunter people are like farmers during that time because they're just harvesting and they're doing other things they need to do, because once the cold comes in, they got to prepare for that. So they told me to come back in the winter. So I did, and it was very different once it gets cold. I don't know, has anyone been to Mongolia? Yes. So, yeah. So I specifically went there to do the same thing, which document and learn about these rural communities. And that is what I would see and document. I really was like, I just began to learn and understand things and living with different groups of people for a couple of weeks at a time. And, Go ahead. Can you help me, please? Thank God, okay. So finally I met the eagle people. And this man, his name, Basha Khan, he's still alive, I believe. And we kind of, I would visit him a few times, like over the last course of the years. So, yes, so this was the first time where I encountered humans that kind of had like a symbiotic relationship with predatory animals. They managed to work as a team, because I was so curious how they trained these wild eagles. They're not raising them like from the eggs. They're going and taking them from the nest. And they're only taking the females because the females are much larger, much more powerful, and much more fierce. So, yeah, so I became very fascinated by predators. This is an aerial predator, but one of the things I didn't expect was the people also, there are wolves hanging around these communities because they have livestock. And the wolves will come down from the mountains and jack the goats. And so these people had a lot of stories about wolves. And there was one family that had a pet wolf. So I managed to photograph him. And then so I did a commercial around that time in 2016 in Hong Kong. And at the time, Nat Geo got bought over a little bit by Fox. So they had an office in this place where I was working. And then I became friends with one of the producers on there on Facebook, and I was posting all these self-Nat Geo assignments. So that guy texted me on Facebook, and he's like, "You should be shooting for us, man." And I'm like, "That'd be cool." And he tried to get me in touch with the HQ in Washington. They were like, "We don't know this guy. We don't give a shit." So that's fine. I mean, they have a lot of amazing photographers that want to work with them, right? So then I photographed this dude, and then I sent the photo to my Nat Geo contact, and then he was like, "Oh, you shot this, let me get back to you." And then a couple of months later, they were like, "Okay, we'll give you an assignment." And I was like, "Okay, cool, man, why not? I don't give a shit." So this was the first story I did for them, and then that really it just they gave us a whole bunch of jobs. I had a small team of people, and we just go around doing human stories. And then because I figured I was working for Nat Geo, but I'm shooting humans, but I want to shoot wildlife for them, but I don't have a wildlife portfolio. So I sent myself to India, and that is when I saw my first kind of experience photographing big cats. And this was in 2018. It's really cool. It's a female tiger. She came right up to the jeep. It was really cool. She's since passed. I know because I went back there, but tigers don't really live very long in the wild. And it was really cool. This image I donated to this organization called Pantera, and they are like the premier organization to protect big cats across the globe. So yeah, I know I would end up working with them. But then the thing is, right? The thing is, like, I didn't like the feeling of like making photos on the Jeep, and also I felt like I'm not learning what I want to in this in this format. So I was like, I need to figure out a way that I can, get on the ground and blah blah blah. And unbelievably, I got a call to work with this group of scientists in the Peruvian Amazon. And they were like, hey man, we don't have money to pay you, but we can pay for like your permits and accommodation. You stay there for like a month or something. And I was like, okay, I'll just go and see what happens. So I went, and they're like these American, mostly American researchers, but a lot of them come from all over the world. And they basically, they're studying these like tamarin animals. I personally hate these animals, but I wouldn't destroy them, but I just mean they're such a bitch to photograph, and they sound like birds. They don't sound like monkeys, like, I'm not going to make a monkey sound, but they just sound like they're chirping like birds, and that's why you hear them, and all the research, and because these people they're not production or photography people, they are scientists. They fucking hated me, because they are like, you know what I mean? Why would they want this extra like surveillance guy asking stupid questions like, is a jaguar going to eat us? And they're like, you have no idea how all this works, please shut the fuck up. That kind of thing. So they hated me for the first few weeks, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it. But yeah, then I stuck with them, and I got to learn all this stuff. Like, they're doing crazy shit. Like this like telemetry, isn't it? Processing animals in like medical tents, like bats. Someone had rabies. One of the doctors contracted rabies, and they had to send in the rabies because they're doing bat processing. It's like me in the tent with them. Like, I'm in there with them now. I'm here, right? And then lining the tent is like bags of bats inside cloth bags. And they're like, And then because they got no time to do, it's like, Ryan, hand me the bat. No, I'm like, fuck, okay. And then they would take it out, draw the blood, and everything's fucking insane. There, you see? Anyway, yeah, birds. And then, oh dude, this guy, like, I tried to find, because I was there, like, I said yes also because I was like, when am I going to go and see like a jaguar habitat, right? It's South America. It's Peru, man. It's so far, so I was like, I have to go. So I went. I'm pretty sure this guy called me because we're looking for jaguars in the day. So anyway, that's like not a good thing. Anyway, Nat Geo sent me back to, they sent, no, not back, they sent me to the States after that to shoot something for them. And then I don't know what we're doing. But I asked the Hong Kong office very nicely, I was like, can you please not send me back so quickly? I want to go and try and find some bears. So basically everywhere I went, I would just try and like set up this predator angle, just see what predators are in that region so I can learn and photograph them. And then one of the crazy scientist people who I worked with in the Amazon who was living in Montana, we didn't hang out at all, but I said like, hey man, I'll pay for your gas and everything. Can you just help me find bears? And he was like, okay. The guy is a very sweet guy. His name is Casey, but he's a fucking psycho. Anyway, he was really good at finding animals, so he found like coyotes. It was really cool. I thought it was a wolf, and he laughed at me. And I'm like, okay, it looks like a wolf to me. I'm sorry lah, but apparently it's not. And then he was explaining. I learned a lot from him. And then eventually we did find like bears, a bear cub, and a mom and a cub. It's really cool to me. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you all see the pictures? Is that okay? Can I? Alright, sorry, I'm just rambling. Then we found a fucking grizzly bear, man. Which is what I wanted to see. That was my key like target species. And we found it. It was really cool. Yeah, it was just a real interesting experience because I'm terrified of bears. Because at least tigers will kill you first before they eat you. The bear will just hold you down and start eating you. I know this is not really on the soft topic of today, sorry. But yeah. Anyway, this is another group of bears, like, they came to claim a bison carcass, like two like bear families. Like, it's really cute though. I hope that's it. And so anyway, after that, the Nat Geo people, because we're doing all this human stuff, they found out about all the crazy shit I've been doing. So the Washington side was like, let's see if we can try and develop you. So they put me in this like Explorer Development Program. I don't know. I think I might still be in the program. I'm not too sure, but it's been going on for years. They asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I want to photograph every single living extant member of the genus Panthera, which is all the living big cats, right? And they were like, no. They were like, pick one. Then I was like, okay, then I'll pick the Malayan subspecies of tiger that used to live in Singapore, but they don't live here anymore. And Malaysia has them, but the population is like seriously dwindling. And I wanted to use camera traps because I still didn't like the feeling of like using this camera to like, you know, these predators especially, they want to remain completely invisible. That's what they are. You know, they're being seen is very strange to them across the board, except bears-ish, because they're kind of omnivorous, so they're kind of like, 50-50, and they know they're big enough to just be like, what's really going to happen? So, but the cats especially, they're just invisible. No one really knows anything. So I wanted to use this camera trap system that I had to build myself with my uncle, I guess. So yeah, so I managed to obtain permission from the federal government of Malaysia to actually work there. Then I found out later that apparently that's really rare, and it was really like really difficult. I found out much later on. So this is like 2018, 2019, and this is like the central Malaysian forest. Very, very beautiful, very, very intense. And having gone to Peru in the Amazon, I'm telling you, man, Malaysia is a bit more rough, honestly. In the Amazon, they have like active flesh-eating virus, which is rough, but Malaysia, the terrain is like, it's a nightmare, man. Yeah, seriously. This is me working with the WWF and just like getting to know the communities again, which is what I was doing. And then I really love working. I made a lot of nice friends, a lot of dear friends in the indigenous community, and they're really, really wonderful people. And they helped me a lot because they're the ones taking care of all the scientists. They're working with the rangers. They're working with people like me. And they become very dear friends. So this is the first test image that we made. It's like a indigenous hunter triggering the camera trap that we left in the forest for about a month. And sadly, this was like 2019, or like just the beginning of 2020. So COVID happened. The project just kind of died, and the government were like, no more like foreigners coming into our forest, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm just gonna keep trying. And then I still did my work with Nat Geo once in a while, but then I just asked, I just kept pestering them. And then because I already was granted permission once, they were like, okay, you can't do your camera trap stuff, but you can follow the anti-trafficking units inside the forest to do their like ranger surveys. So this was even worse for me, because when I thought scientists hated me, the ranger people really hated me, because these guys are like military people. They didn't talk to me for like the first 2 days, and they're like crossing the river. They're just ignoring me at all. I'm like falling down and stuff, and they don't care. But it's funny because the moment we arrived inside like Taman Negara, which is like the central part of Malaysia's forest, we saw like this giant, like very large male tiger tracks, park marks, and they were so happy, and they're speaking in Bahasa, and just saying stuff in Bahasa, and I am just terrified because we don't have any guns, we don't have anything, and I'm just like thinking, what am I doing? They seem so excited, but who am I, and why am I here actually? I'm going to get killed. So, and everywhere we went, it seemed to keep running into the same tiger. And then we did find him on the camera traps, and he was the biggest tiger that they've seen in many years. And I was just thinking, because like we're sleeping in like places like this is me, I'm showing off like the blood from like leeches. When you have a high mammal population, there's a lot of leeches. So that's like a bioindicator that the ecosystem is healthy. And this is like the place, like, so we were staying in like this, like a hammock. We're staying there for like 4 or 5 days. And I'm telling you, man, they were sleeping. I didn't sleep much at all because I was just terrified. Because at any moment, I'm just a dude, right? So I'm just sitting there sleeping, and they're like snoring. Because the moment the sun goes down, they're out. They're so desensitized. And I'm just like, abang, like, what if the tiger come? Yeah, seriously. And he's like, tiger won't come lah. Now I'm like, how do you know? It won't come. Now I'm like, how do you know though? And I was laying there, and I would hear something rustle. I would just switch on my headlamp and just see the forest in the darkness is really bad. And they would laugh at me, man. They were seriously like, they know because they could hear me like doing stuff and just like not sleeping. So then after that, they warmed up to me. And then on the last night, unbelievably, I think it's a really shitty photo, but we saw a large somebody across the river, and the lead ranger, Aslan, was like so excited because he was like, I've been doing this for like 20 years. I've never seen one of them with my own eyes. Just please take some kind of photo so we can show it to the people that we're reporting to. So anyway, sorry, how am I doing on time? Is this going and going and going? 5 more minutes? Oh shit, okay. I'm sorry guys, I'll try and skip a lot of stuff. I'll just try and skip through. So I went to India and all, I took some photos, this, blah, blah. So then unbelievably, they sent me back to the Peruvian Amazon to teach these two wonderful filmmakers. One's a Peruvian lady, and one's a young American filmmaker as well. So both of them amazing filmmakers, much better than me. And I was like their field instructor, just how to like make like, just how to like filming tactics in the forest without like, if you run into like some animals and what, just like kind of how you deal with them.